What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Man Up here coming at you with a quick video, a recap of the Houston Texans versus the Dallas Cowboys preseason week 3 of the 2019 preseason. Now, before I get started to that, I want to say this here. I was on Saw Sports with my boy Ed Huncho and YI Citizen. And then all of a sudden, I disappeared. Now, I do want to say the reason why I disappeared, I thought at first it was my Wi-Fi went out, so I lost signal. But apparently, they were doing some work on the power lines outside, and everybody, in the neighborhood lights went out. So everybody lost power. So I want to give a special shout out to my boy Ed Honcho and Y Citizen for that. I do apologize. But that was what happened, because I thought it was my Wi-Fi at first, but found out that they were just doing some work on the power lines outside. Now, giving a recap of the Dallas Cowboys losing to the Dallas Cowboys week 3 of the 2019 preseason. Now, reason why I want to talk about this real quick is a couple of things. Well, I know this is a preseason. The game doesn't really matter, but it matters to certain people of how things play out, I should say. Not just because of the score or they lost the game or won the game. No, because of how certain things play out. And the reason why I'm saying it like that is because when I got my power back up, I was able to see, I want to say midway of the first quarter. I want to say something like that. And it's been a bunch of times, I think, that the Texans should have went for it when they was on 4th and 1, 4th and 2. This is one of those times that you got to see what these players are made of. And I think that, I'm not going to say it was bad play calling. I think they underestimated the Cowboys defense. And I said that in South Sports. Do not underestimate the Cowboys defense. Whether you like the Cowboys or not, they got good defense. And they proved to have some good defense. Excuse me. So, with all that being said, though, I am going to say this here. I do think that that's what happened. The Cowboys defense was underestimated. Now, we end up losing. Excuse me, sorry about that. We end up losing this game 34-0, which is fine. It happens. Shouldn't, but it does. And like I said, because this is preseason, I get it. But the one thing I did not like, and I said, and I preach this all the time. Did y'all notice that Deshaun Watson didn't complete a pass? To me, and I did see the sack fumble that I think that was Joe Thomas for the Cowboys. I forget the guy's name that forced that. See, and that's what I talk about a lot is the offensive line. Because, and I'm going to preach this until it happens, because like I mentioned on South Sports, we haven't had a good offensive line since Aaron Foster running the ball like crazy. That's when we had a great offensive line. Just poor quarterback play, but great offensive line. Excuse me there. So, my point in saying all this here is that with that, though, I do think that we got to do something. Now, I'm not saying trade Clowney because I know that's the hot topic right there. I know I saw a report that Clowney was going to be traded within 24 to 48 hours. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea, in my personal opinion. And I know Lamar Miller got hurt, supposed to have might have a torn ACL. And I just think that, look, when it comes to these games, this is a violent sport. We all know that. We all love our football. Football is America. We know that. But when it comes to these games, man, when it comes to playing this game, you got to do better. You got to. Also, offensive line work is one of the hottest topics that I think we need to uh, 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 need to take care of. Excuse me, because yeah, Joe Webb is not a Deshaun Watson. Not saying that he is or he ever will ever be, but Joe Webb is not great, but he's not all that bad. He just needs to make slightly better decisions when passing that ball. Now, also too, he finished with like what 65 yards passing or something like that. Okay, I think it was a little bit more than that, but I know he had two picks. One, I was like, what in the hell is he thinking? No, that was the first one actually. Then I'm just like, I'm thinking this here. There's a couple of times we had 4th and 1. Should have went for it. This is a time in the preseason you want to see what these guys are made of. Because we know these games doesn't count towards the regular season, but they count in trying to see what it is in your player development and your player evaluation. See what I'm saying? And that's when I think you should go for it. You know, go for those 4th and 1. I know it's a couple of times Cowboys kicked the ball off on a return. Texans was like with 4 yards deep into the end zone. Bring it out. This is a time you want to see what you got. You know what I'm saying? In the preseason, you want to see what kind of players you got. You got to evaluate yourself as well too. This is not just a evaluation of the game. No, this is an evaluation of you. You know what I'm saying? As a player in this sport, because a lot of people's going to look at this and be like, okay, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? So at the end of the day, all I'm saying is this here: offensive line work and player development in the preseason. Excuse me, I keep saying player development, player evaluation in the preseason, and that has to be taken seriously. Because if you do not take that seriously, you're gonna regret it later on. Now, I know we have a new play caller, offensive play caller, and I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. It'll come to me, but I wonder what happened with the play calls. This sucks. See what I'm saying? So it got to the point to where during this game, Lamar Miller goes out, and now it seems like we can't run the ball. I'm not understanding. You know what I'm saying? Our offensive line all of a sudden just can't block. Like I said, I know the Cowboys got top. I want to say like I think they finished last season within like the number 6 defense or something like that. I might be wrong, but somewhere around there. So they was in the top 10. I know that, but that's something like I said, you gotta take serious. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're going against teams like that, cause our first game of the regular season is gonna be against a damn good team with Drew Brees and them Saints, and you gotta have good offensive line work. Plain and simple in the discussion. And if you do not, we're gonna have a fucked up season. And it can't be that way. I preach that all the time. Offensive line. For a number of reasons. Of course, my number one reason is to protect Deshaun Watson. But we all know that offensive line has to be better. It just has to be. Now, I'm not tripping because we lost the game. No, I'm tripping because of how the game was executed. how the plays were executed. That's what I'm mainly upset about. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm mainly upset about. So at the end of the day, this is what I am saying. Excuse me. Houston Texans has to be better on offense. Excuse me, not on offense. With the running game, with the line protection, and also too with our special teams. Because if we don't, then we finna have a crazy we finna have a crazy season. So my word is this here, Bill O'Brien, get it together. You know what I'm saying? So we can try to at least have a 10 game winning season. Now, I'm one of those type of people, I'm always positive about my Texans, but when I see poor execution, now I got a problem. Now, excuse me. Excuse me, sorry about that. Now, our next game in this preseason, it's going to be against the I'm finna say the LA Rams, but it's the I'm finna say the St. Louis Rams, but now it's the LA Rams. It's going to be next Thursday. So, and which is another top team with good defense. Like I say, I know these preseason games, and I know it just mainly to try to see who we're going to have on the roster and all that stuff. But we gotta have good execution with these games. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about a couple other things. I also want to talk about this Clowney trade situation, because I saw that Clowney was supposed to be getting traded within the 24 to 40-hour window for a wide receiver. Now, like I said on Saw Sports, if you kind of look at it this way, it's not stupid. Houston Texans has a history of our wide receivers being injured. Now, I'm not saying trade Clowney at all, because I don't want him to be traded. Let me say that again. I don't want to trade Clowney, but I know that it's more likely going to happen. So, if you're going to trade him for a wide receiver, at this point, it kind of makes a little bit of sense, because you got to think about this here. Excuse me. You got to think about this here. Yeah. Week 1 of the preseason against the Green Bay Packers, Will Fuller goes down. He's supposed to be practicing again, warming up against the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't see him on the field, not saying he was there, but like I said, my power went out because they're working on my power line, so I missed a little bit of the game. So, not saying he didn't play, but just didn't see him. So, am I saying trade Clowney? No. Do I want him to be traded? No. But if you're going to do it for a wide receiver, it kind of makes sense a little bit, but then again, it doesn't. Because we are stacked on wide receivers, but this team does have a history of our wide receivers always being hurt. My personal opinion, I don't want him to be traded. I know I said that a bunch of times. I'm reiterating that. But if you are going to trade him, it should be for a top quality offensive lineman. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Or another top quality defensive end. Linebacker, defensive end. Plain and simple. So, then Lamar Miller gets hurt. Now, it is believed that he has a torn ACL. No real true factors came out on this just yet. but it has been said that he might have a torn ACL. So we're going to see what happens. He's supposed to have an MRI later on today to see what goes on. If he does have a torn ACL, 9 times out of 10, he's out for the season. So I know a lot of people might be saying, trade him for another running back. So we'll see. Now, in somewhat other Texan news, Andrew Luck just all of a sudden want to retire out of nowhere. Now, as a Texan fan, I'm not happy about it because I love good competition. And I know that he's doing what he has to do. And ain't nothing wrong with that. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, and he's not in it for the money. So good luck to him in the future. So hopefully everything's okay with him, and good luck to him in the future. Don't wish no ill will on no one. So more power to him. Now, also too, with this here, going back to the Cowboys and Texans game, we all know every time the Cowboys and the Texans meet, it's for the Governor's Cup. Now, preseason wise, I don't know what the record is, but I know regular season wise, I think the Texans got them by overall history of these two teams meeting. I think Texans got them by like 2 games or something like that. Excuse me, something like that. So, with all that being said, I do not think that the Texans should trade Clowney, but if they are, my personal opinion, trade him for an offensive lineman or another good defensive end / linebacker like him. Now, I've heard rumors, actually, that the Eagles might want to trade for him. So, we'll see what happens. Then, also, too, with this here being said as well, I wonder how this is going to affect the Texans' 2019 regular season. What decisions going to be made? So we'll see what happens when excuse me, when the season starts with the whole AFC South. You know, because we still got to deal with the Colts, even though Andrew Luck retired. You know, they got Jacoby Brissett, if I said his name right. We still got to deal with the Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. So we'll see what happens. So with all that being said, I don't going to go ahead and end this video. But I do want to say this here once again. Offensive line work has to step up, has to be better. Has to be. This is your boy Man Up. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'll chuck the deuce at y'all. Holla.